Just to memorialize the bus stop at the Vine Bridge, and over there I will get the bus that takes me back to Aboki Station, and from there somehow I should find a train that will take me back to Kochi. Now the way you use these kind of buses is that when you get on, you get a ticket like this. And inside this machine, you see it sticking out, and you hold on to that until you get off. And then what you do, now if you're clever, you can read this and know what amount you're supposed to pay. I can't do that, but it's 640 yen, I know, because that's what it costs me to get here. Assume it's the same. But anyway, you take that amount of money, that's what I've got right there, and you stick it in that plastic box right there, which has a slot, and then you also stick the ticket in there. If you need change for 1,000 yen, for example, or 5, you stick it in that thing there, and that covers your change. These hotels were about here. Surprises piles of lumber from the nearby forest should be warehoused here briefly till they're hauled away. Endless tunnels through this area. Used here to build a tunnel and this to build a bridge. Going into another little mountain village. This is a two-way road, isn't it? Now back to the main road. There's several of these large hotels, and I don't quite know why. And there's a bridge in the falls, but that doesn't justify all of this. Unless people just enjoy coming up into this area. This man flags us down on the bus stops, and he bows to the bus driver. As I attend to one when he starts us up, he'll wave us on and then bow to the bus driver. Double bow on them. Repair work. Well, it's now about 5 o'clock. I'm back in Kochi after a very propitious, quick train ride after my bus ride out at Aboki. Picked up the express coming straight to Kochi, and then a quick train back here to Kochi. Your wits about you, because there are not necessarily any barricades. Now way down there where that person's walking past that, you'll see some barricades, but otherwise up in the upper left hand corner you'll see the number 45. That's where the hostel is. Man, wouldn't it be wonderful if they put a map like this on that lousy international hosteling page. Anyway, starting right here, I'm taking this little, what I think is this little side street right here to the right of the yellow that goes right down along like this, and I'm going to intercept it here and then cut across to here and then down here, just to stay inside the main blocks in case I see anything interesting. And to walk in the neighborhoods than it is out on the main streets, and you're more likely to get lost, which will make it more interesting. But how can you get lost with 4 big blocks and a huge castle somewhere off to our left here that you can usually see from many parts of the city? Notice that Cobra
look to the top of that ball. Built on this huge rock outcrop, which makes some kind of sense when you think everything else around here is rock. This would have stood out centuries ago. It's a peculiar and an interesting place. And here, set up as a little garden, kind of messed up with some modern equipment. This was probably a pretty spectacular little shrine when it was first built, surrounded by smaller, more modest residents around it. Looking for anomalies now when we look at these temples, because they've gotten kind of pretty predictable, but these lanterns seem to be a novel affectation. Recognize this icon, but it's obviously a flaming sword. Indian looking, yet somehow reminiscent. Rather impressive monument as most go. Most are just obelisk with a little bit of verbiage on it and very little colored detail, if any, as you see in those flower motifs that are engraved into it. Anyway, maybe the oldest portion of it all. The point of this is it just a way of putting a respected shrine into a very enclosed space? With something new in here and digging down for whatever. In a matter of minutes after getting off the main drag, I encounter an interesting shrine with some novelty I hadn't seen before, and a construction site which I always like to take a look at since I've done some of that. Intimate little walking lane. Irises. These places are, you don't fall into them, and they're used to working around rice paddies for eons and time, so this is all natural sources. Kind of pretty. There's a fish down in there. There he is. Looks like the gate to a shrine, but of course there's a modern building behind it. Maybe it's the remnant of a historical shrine. And it looks just like an entry gate. Well-rusted cannon. So no English here, but there's certainly history. One outside of it's interesting just because it's large, but also because this looks like it's something that was pulled out of a riverbed and hauled here. And I say a riverbed because of the curved erosion patterns. Feeding these fish. Play an integral part in keeping these waterways clean of sewage. In this building you were looking at something Gothic and therefore Christian, but no other indications. That modern statue alludes to a Greek winged something or other, but notice the lovely trees that are supported with almost like large bonsais. This block here you see some trees, which I think is the park, so I'm guessing that I'm probably somewhere about right where my thumb is on this yellow road right there. So I'm going to walk down here a little bit. This man he's probably a scholar of some sort with that book there as an icon. Boxes for the blind, special buttons to control the road. This obscure patch of very pretty purple flowers in this tiny little parking space.